Hello and welcome to Our Waking Dream. I'm your host, Coco Swanson. I'm a spiritual strategist, mentor, business consultant, and forever seeker. Every week in Our Waking Dream, I highlight one astrological theme moving through that week. Ideally, I'm teaching in a way that's super beginner friendly. So right away, I'm very curious about your level in astrology, where you're at, if we're intermediate, beginner, or advanced levels in listening, so I can make sure I keep teaching with you, working with you. And so my goal is that over time, if you're a beginner to astrology, that each episode will kind of wash you with another layer of the language. Think of it as a language. It's a language of living metaphor. It's alive right now in me. It's alive in all of us. And some of us are more sensitive than others. This is for sensitive folks. And so I imagine that you might really notice it's embodied, the metaphor is embodied in your life. I'm curious about how these tools that we work with each week help you in your sovereignty and your power, and how the mapping helps you understand more about the subconscious workings of what's going on. Okay. That said, July 27th, we have a lot of big things happening with outer planets. Outer planets have to do with collective movements. These aren't personal planets. These are collective planets. So as we get further out, I just think of it as, it's like a tetherball to me. It's the further out something gets, the more pull it has on the whole. So if we're talking about Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto, which we are today, it's big themes. So this podcast I'm launching it right in the middle of huge outer planet shifts, huge collective shifts, which is happening outside. Like, what's going on in the world? Everything is changing right now in unpredictable and seemingly unjust ways. Everything is arranging and rearranging. So let's speak astrology. Saturn, planet of structure. It's how we bring spirit into form and how we build things ideally within Saturn that pass the test of time. So when we anchor in an idea through Saturn, we bring it to form. So Saturn's moving retrograde. So that means we bring what's to form. Well, here's the catch. Saturn's just moving into the first sign of the zodiac. So it's right now that initial impetus to create is whatever you're in the midst of dreaming into being is ready for reflection during this phase. It doesn't mean a full stop per se. It could, but it means it's time to revisit it, because think of how much easier it is to revisit something before it's in form. If we want to allow it to change, to align the most congruently with you and the world. Okay, so Saturn moving backwards. We get to let what we're creating in the form go a bit as it's moving backwards. So it's conjunct to Neptune, Saturn. So Saturn and Neptune together is the dreamer. Neptune's the dreamer. It's what my soul is here to do. It's the Neptune transit we right now are having Saturn, Septune. Yeah, Saturn and Neptune are moving backwards. They are going to cross back into Pisces. That's the last sign of the zodiac in early September. So that's when Saturn moves back. So this said, we have the next, month to really allow what your gut desire to create is, what your soul's desire to create. We allow that up, so we really acknowledge what we're desiring to create. And then we start to let it go, to revise. So again, we can still act and show up in love and in passion for our desires that we choose to bring to form here, that our heart's desire is informed over time. But this is long term. Think of what you might want to build over the course of years, over the course of your lifetime. least over the course of the next couple decades. These planets move. Saturn takes 27 years to move through the whole zodiac. So this said, Saturn and Neptune are conjunct. They're the closest they'll be until their exact conjunction in February of 2026. And so that means they're really magnifying each other. So it's the structure and what your soul is here to dream is ready to be released back to source in order to reconfigure, to truly align with your current heart's desires. And that will be coming when they come forward, and that's into 2026 more. Okay, this said, Pluto is the planet of deep transformation, of shadow work, of death and rebirth, of the shift of power dynamics. And it's a collective planet. It's working within the collective and it's moving backwards. So Saturn and Neptune are in a harmonious relationship. It's called a sextile with Pluto moving backwards. Everything's moving backwards and everything will move forward again. So this period of revision at a grand collective level, to me, is a grace period where we can relook at what is really aching to die, essentially, to be let go of, what patterns, and this is Pluto and Aquarius, societal collective patterns are ready to release. So this is in your world, the governing principles of your world and the world. Which patterns are ready to go? So this is a revision of what your soul, that's Neptune, is here to dream, that's Neptune, into being and form, that's Saturn. And what your our collective shadow, what you're working with your shadow in relation to just societies, infrastructures that are for the people, by the people, we the people, for the people, and future driven. That is Aquarius. So that's the equation. Okay. This said, what am I suggesting that we do in order to sit in our place of power and really get the most out of this sextile and this retrograde? I look at the shadow, the underbelly of the sign, the underbelly, the sort of negative, we'd say, but really it's the wounded or the area of the archetype of both the planets and the zodiac that might be wounded. And that's a place of growth. So in looking at both Aries, which is where Saturn and Neptune are right now, and Aquarius, which is where Pluto is, they're moving backwards. But right now, they're in Aries and Aquarius. And one commonality between both Aries and Aquarius is they both happen to be know-it-alls. I know this through experience. I have both in my chart in strong ways, and people come to me for my my intuition and my knowledge, and also my know-it-all is what creates separation between me when I have too much conviction. And when my conviction is slightly off, it creates an entirely different vector in which I'll travel. It like changes my destiny when I think I know something and it's slightly off. So this said, there's a different style of knowing for Aries. Aries is that first burst of impulsive life. It's the I know it because my whole being says so. It's that passion. It's the, of course, it's the fierceness of direction that's needed in order to bring life to earth. It's a full yes. It's a fierce burst, absolute, and quite innocent, quick to change. So where in your life are you experiencing that, like that ram, that idea of this is absolutely the direction I need to go? And that is the area that's ready to soften a little bit and to go back to source. So to start to examine that, to think about it, to talk about it, to bring it into your culture, to talk to your tree about it if you have a tree bestie, like I'm suggesting in previous episodes. So this retrograde is clutch. It's really important to look in which ways your impulse is tainted by fear, by your insecurities, by your anger, because our impulse, how we feel, the atmosphere that we're experiencing when we act on an impulse is so important because atmosphere, energy creates form. So anywho, letting go, really being clear about what your drive is right now and honor the drive, but to allow it to saturate and seep in universality, in the love of all that is. Okay, so then we've got Aquarius. Aquarius is a know-it-all in the sense of like, this is how the world works. I know it because I see from an outer perspective. I know causality, it's great. We want that conviction in how we create the principles of society. But there are so many outdated principles within our psyche because our psyche has been trained by the collective, and we have been in war, impoverished, in abuse, in trauma. So we want to, when we have these retrogrades, allow for how we think society should run to let go. Of course, we have our convictions, but to allow the convictions to become porous to new ideas really allows the convictions to align with universal truth, which is what Aquarius in its like, in its glory is about, is that. So in this, if we look at the combination of Pluto, which can be about like poison, it's what is really needing transformation deep in the subconscious. So what's poisoned in our governing principles of society, and that's a society at the micro level, that's your life. At the medium micro, maybe that's you in community, and that's a macro level of all of us. And that brings me to a broader topic that I like to make sure I dive into each time, which is really looking at how all of these awarenesses impact us at a personal, professional, and planetary level. I woke up at the witching hour this morning really early, which is a common theme for me, where I get a lot of prayer and intention and imagination and hearts. I stew my ideas and my life in my heart's love in the early morning. And I was thinking of my exposure to Qigong when I was young, and it's a Chinese ideology. It's mysticism within Taoist principles, and that we talk about the microcosm mirroring the macro. That the universe and all that is contained within every little cell within each and every atom within me. So all that is contained within me. So if I change within me, it changes all that is. And so if we think that we bring awareness into what we are impulsively, passionately drawn to, and we let it go, and we take the pulse, how am I? How am I bringing what I'm deeply, passionately, impulsively drawn to? And we let it go, and then we come in each and every day that we remember this into our authentic passion each moment. That is beaming heart's passion and the commitment to live a life of passion and clarity and purpose, bringing your heart's desires and your greatest purpose and service into the world. That commitment ripples in ways that we cannot imagine yet. It ripples in the unseen into the macro. It affects the professional and the planetary. When we work at an individual level, it affects everything. Okay, so another piece is that all of the scared, sad aspects of us, because think of if we're working with Pluto, and really Saturn has a pretty heavy weight to it, because it's about how things last over time. Neptune's super dreamy, but Neptune can work with delusion. So if we take heavy weighted delusion and think of which way society is failing to protect all, it gets really sad. Probable outcomes on planet Earth right now are sad. That sadness, the anxiety, all of the negative emotions are critical because they carry so much power within them. They need to be embraced. So I choose, as an awareness practice, that seeps into my conversation with my friends. It seeps into my journaling exercises of who within me is scared, who is mad, who is afraid, and who within me needs more love and embrace. So that in this sextile, which is that harmonious relationship, the aspect between Saturn and Neptune that are conjunct and Pluto as they all move backwards, who's in need of a bigger embrace? What individuals within me are marginalized? Who hasn't healed yet? And how can I create an atmosphere within me that creates space for all aspects of me, knowing that the ones that are crying and yelling and screaming the most, that come out as shadow, that come out as anger towards others or fear, those are the parts that need the most embrace. Each and every one of us is essential. Each and every part of us is essential. What if the marginalized within us and within our societies, once embraced, start to carry keys, like the places that we have forgotten actually carry the keys to our destiny? So we name and ritualize. This is where we really shifted. I'm looking down at my notes. So we name and ritualize every effed up, evil, dumb, destructive ideology governing our and your society. I'm in the US. So it's very scary. You need to call it. This is not okay. Mass deportation is not okay. Not looking out for people that are marginalized in need, not okay on my dime on planet Earth. That said, I embrace it. I feel the feels because it is the predicament we're in. And then through that embrace and release, I can start to imagine. Imagination is Neptune. Neptune is like a no glass ceiling imagination. Our wildest dreams. What does it feel like to be loved, to be taken care of? What does it feel like if you tap into your dreams of, say, if you were to wave a magic wand and your heaven is born on earth, your heaven, your paradise on the planet. What would that feel like? What would it look like? What would it look like societally? What would it look like in how you're received in your community, in your home life? How does that feel? How does this infrastructure, the structure, Saturn, of your life change as the deep subconscious patterns, Pluto, are healed and you're able to dream again, untethered by the subconscious patterns of suffering within your psyche and our collective psyche? Okay. Sometimes I wish these were live so I could just say, okay, any questions, anyone? So ask your questions, DM me. This is all about you. Share, like, etc. Please come back each week. Also, my email, I've been providing free meditations. I'm doing some audio meditations or journal promptings each week. And this week is free meditation. So jump on to subscribe or DM and I can, if it's past Sunday, I can send it to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you, love you, love you. Until next week. Mwah. Thank you for being a part of our community here at Our Waking Dream. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Fill my cup and let it overflow. Let it overflow with love.